Good evening. Welcome to ITV News. This is Friday night's calendar.
And these are the stories making the headlines tonight.
What do we want? Pay restoration! When we want it now!
Junior doctors strike again as the human cost of the long-running row over pay and patient safety becomes clear.
I couldn't sleep. I felt suicidal because I'd been in constant pain. I'd become a shell, basically.
The rise in the number of crash-for-cash insurance scams as the industry urges drivers to be on their guard.
The Headingley send-off for the Leeds Rhinos as they count down to a history-making cup final at Wembley.
Well, I'm pleased to say those players have arrived safe and sound down here at Wembley as the Leeds Rhinos prepare to do battle with St Helens for this Challenge Cup trophy.
And what a weekend in store in Whitby too. It's the annual regatta, it's a 3-day festival, so much more than boats, and there'll be thousands here to enjoy it.
And yes, lots of outdoor events this weekend, but will the weather be as nice as it has been over the last few days? The forecast for the next few days a little later on in the programme.
But first tonight, as junior doctors walked onto the picket line for the 5th time this morning, they did so knowing that it could tip the number of cancelled appointments to over 1 million.
But they say they also did it knowing that if they didn't take action, doctors would leave in their droves, forcing the flagging NHS to collapse for good.
Well, today, one man bearing the brunt of the standoff between the government and frontline staff told our reporter Helen Steele how he became suicidal after he had 6 appointments for his hip operation cancelled, and yet he says he still has every sympathy with those on the picket line.
At my worst, I couldn't sleep. I felt suicidal.
Dave Lockyer injured his hip last year. After 6 appointments to arrange a hip replacement were cancelled, his mental and physical health deteriorated.
How did you feel that final time when it was cancelled again?
Yeah, we were devastated. I was told a number of times by NHS staff that they were so sorry because they couldn't provide the service that they used to be able to do and that they wanted to do.
Dave from Ilkley was prescribed antidepressants and he decided he couldn't go on. He and his wife Sue forked out almost £20,000 from their pension pot to pay privately. Sue has worked for the NHS for more than 40 years. She came out of retirement to help during the pandemic.
I felt very, very angry and I've done all that work and I just felt this is so unfair.
Despite that, the couple still support the strikes. And if this was a film for these doctors in Leeds, it would be Take 5 today. But far from film star pay, they say taking into account inflation, they've had a pay cut of 26%.
Everyone on the picket line today, as well as the works, have got an exit strategy, whether it is to a different country or potentially to a different profession altogether. We may no longer have an NHS to look after our population.
Fair pay! Fair pay!
Outside Kingsmill Hospital, emotions were running high.
Sometimes when I drive home, I just end up crying.
And inside, staff levels too low to keep the operating theatre open. Up to 600 appointments have been cancelled during this action alone, and there's a plea for both sides to compromise.
At every one of those statistics, there's a patient story in that. There's someone whose care has been disrupted, who's been pushed back. That the only way that we can come to a solution on this is to get round the negotiating table.
The government says it's ready to do that and has offered junior doctors an average 8.8% pay rise.
Of course, I stand ready to have discussions with junior doctors in terms of other issues about their working conditions, but in terms of pay, we made a fair and final offer.
Back in Ilkley, Dave is improving every day, but his family will suffer the financial strain for years to come. Helen Steele, ITV News.
In other news tonight, a woman has pleaded guilty to the attempted murder of 3 children in West Yorkshire. The 34-year-old was arrested in February after a 4-year-old girl, a 2-year-old boy and a 3-month-old baby boy were discovered wounded at a house in Huddersfield. She's been remanded in custody to be sentenced at a later date.
A 32-year-old woman has been arrested on suspicion of murder after a man was fatally stabbed in Sheffield. The victim, who's believed to be in his 70s, was found on Wednesday night with stab wounds to his chest on Parkland off Shortbrook Close in the Westfield area of the city. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
An urgent search is underway to find a 56-year-old man who's missing from his home in a North Yorkshire village. Neil Kerner was last seen leaving his home in Aysgarth at 11 o'clock yesterday morning. He left his phone at home and has not been seen since. Officers believe Neil is in the Wensleydale area and have sent out a police helicopter and Swaledale Mountain Rescue Team to search for him. They say they're extremely concerned for his safety.
Well, some breaking news for you now, and an investigation has been launched after a person died at a waste sorting site in Bradford. The incident happened at Biffa Transfer Station on Peace Street. The Health and Safety Executive have been informed and are making inquiries alongside West Yorkshire Police. We'll have more details on that breaking story in our late bulletin and on our website. That's itv.com/calendar.
Now then, you are watching Friday's calendar, and still to come before 6:30. It's looking lovely in Whitby this evening, and we're live there later as the town gets ready for the biggest weekend of the year.
And we've had some fantastic skies across the region over the last few days, feeling nice and warm, just a bit of a breeze. But where does that leave us for the weekend ahead? Full forecast coming up.
But first, it's been described as an epidemic. Fraudsters are targeting innocent drivers and faking accidents in order to claim compensation from insurance companies.
Yes, and parts of our region have the unenviable accolade of being among the country's hotspots when it comes to the so-called crash for cash scams. Parts of Bradford, Halifax and Wakefield are described as high-risk areas.
Well, the most recent con involves mopeds being deliberately driven into or suddenly stopping in front of cars. Lauren Hall reports.
This is one of many so-called cash for crash scams. It's believed this dashcam footage shows fraudsters inventing or deliberately causing collisions in order to get compensation. It's a major issue on our roads, and many drivers are being caught up in it.
It was around about 11 o'clock in the morning, not much on the road, very, very quiet. And the car in front suddenly slammed his brakes on out of nowhere, which in turn I swerved to miss it, just clipped the car. But the damage to the car was that I hit was massive.
This is the damage on the other car. As for the car belonging to Tim Edwards, there wasn't much to see. No dents, no scratches. His insurance company suspected he'd been targeted in a cash for crash scam.
Just a little bit annoyed, I guess, because you immediately think, it's my fault. I've gone into the back of a car. It's going to be a claim on the insurance. That's going to affect the insurance on the car, and it just seemed all wrong.
There's concern these scams could be on the rise, and it's something they're noticing more of at this car repair garage in Rotherham.
We have seen an increase. It's something in the last few years that's increased quite a lot, to be honest. We're finding damages to cars, obviously damages to people as well when they're involved in these accidents. Biggest impact we're finding is obviously insurance companies are getting stitched up in paying for things that they shouldn't be paying for.
There are different types of scam, whether it's a car suddenly braking to cause a crash, or a moped rider pretending they've been hit, or deliberately driving into oncoming traffic. The Insurance Fraud Bureau's trying to raise awareness and says it could potentially be costing the economy hundreds of millions of pounds every year.
It is a prevalent piece for the industry to tackle, and it's a real risk for them, but importantly for us, it's a real risk for the public, and we're really trying to raise as much awareness about the different types of scams that are coming through now.
Drivers are already counting the cost in terms of their insurance premiums. Now we're being warned there could be an even greater price to pay, with scammers putting lives at risk. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
Now the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30. Here's a look at what's happening with Kylie Pentelow.
Coming up, junior doctors on strike again.
What do we want? Fair pay! When do we want it? Now!
England's fifth walkout will last until Tuesday, with health bosses saying the NHS can't take any more. More delays to the government's immigration plan as asylum seekers are taken off the Bibby Stockholm barge after Legionella bacteria are found in the water. The death toll from the wildfires in Hawaii jumps to 55, with hundreds more missing. And can the Lionesses make it to a World Cup semi-final? We'll hear from the England manager before they take on Colombia tomorrow. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Kylie, we will. Thank you very much indeed. Now time for some sport, and there's a huge weekend in store for rugby league fans.
Xero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Now, the Leeds Rhinos will make history this weekend as Wembley hosts a women's rugby league match for the first time.
And what a way to kick things off, because tomorrow it's the Challenge Cup final. Well, Chris Dawkes is there already, and what a weekend there is in store down there, Chris.
Ian, it's a huge weekend in store down here at Wembley. I've got to say, I've been down to this place many times over the years, and it never fails to take your breath away. I mean, it's empty now, but can you imagine what it must be like just being stood here, or even being out on that pitch when it's full? It must just be a cacophony of noise. And this is what it's all about for the Leeds Rhinos women tomorrow, the Challenge Cup trophy. They'll be playing St Helens, hoping to gain revenge for the defeat in last year's final. You know, this is a seminal moment, not just for rugby league, but for women's sport as a whole as well. The Leeds Rhinos players are due out on this surface for a familiarisation session known as the Captain's Run in just a few moments' time. Hopefully, we'll be able to speak to one of those players. But earlier on today, Arif Ahmed was down at Headingley to see the team off.
A hero's welcome for a Wembley send-off. The Leeds Rhinos women set off for the National Stadium this morning ahead of tomorrow's Challenge Cup final, and around 100 fans turned out to wave them off.
Supported the Rhinos for years and years and years, and so today is iconic, so it's really fantastic for girls to get to Wembley.
When it's ladies' team, it's not it's not as advanced as men. Well, it is advanced like men's, but not many people support women, so come on Rhinos!
Oh yes, come on!
The women will make history when they step onto the hallowed turf tomorrow lunchtime. They'll be playing in the first ever Women's Challenge Cup final at the National Stadium.
It's just massive in terms of growing the women's game. Something like this will really, really impact the growth and development at the grassroots, because I keep saying it, but the more that they can see it, the more that they can believe they can be it.
That's a good kick when you enjoy that.
There's no better role model for the next generation than Caitlin Casey. The 19-year-old came through the same development sessions these girls took part in earlier this week, and has laid the path for these girls to play in the first team.
I remember being on RTPs when I was like this kind of age, and there were only like 20 girls. So I never mind doing 3 sessions in a summer, and there's 60 girls plus on each camp.
They're very inspiring. The fact that they've been here and they're like grown to be better players, and they've gone on to better things like this.
Leeds might be the underdogs tomorrow, but the Rhinos are ready to rise to the big occasion. Arif Ahmed, ITV News.
So, Chris, is the excitement already building there tonight?
Oh, it certainly is, Tina. Well, let's ask one of the players who'll be playing out here tomorrow. We've got Tara Moxon from the Leeds Rhinos. Nice to see you, Tara. It's a good journey down here, and how excited are you going to be play on that beautiful playing surface there?
It feels incredible. Like, it's actually I've just walked out, so you've caught me walking out and seeing it for the first time. Yeah, we're a long way from Ellen Road and Headingley.
It's not bad, is it? I mean, what are your emotions when you do walk out and see this stadium? I mean, it's empty now, but it's going to be pretty full tomorrow afternoon.
I mean, it just takes your breath away. I've been trying not to think about the occasion and just trying to think about the game tomorrow. Like, we'll come down here, we've got a job to do, but definitely an occasion, and I'll let you know tomorrow when I'm walking out.
You say you've got a job to do, but you've also got a full-time job to do, because you're an emergency care assistant at the Yorkshire Ambulance Service as well. So how does playing rugby league compare to that?
It's not easy. Yeah, it is a lot of work. You know, it's a lot of shift work. have to balance my hours and my energy levels before I go to training. But myself and the service have agreed on a contract they're very kind to give me the hours to take time off for training and days like this. So I was meant to be doing night shifts this weekend, but they allowed it off.
Wow. Well, I can't imagine. I think that is fair, yeah. I mean, what's it going to be like playing against St Helens? Because you've got history with them. You lost to them in the final last year.
Yeah, that was at Ellen Road, I think. It's always going to be a tough game, definitely. We respect them. We respect, that they've got a lot to come, and we're playing at Wembley. This is the first time that any women's rugby league team have ever come and played here. So we've both got something that we want to make history in, seeing as it's our first time. It'll be a good game.
Tara, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We'll let you rejoin your teammates who are just coming out there and have a good night's sleep tonight. I think she'll need a good night's sleep tonight because it can be a big game.
We all will, Chris, won't we? And, finally, I must ask you, the Rhinos aren't the only West Yorkshire side down there tomorrow, are they?
No, that's right. There's the 1895 final as well. After the men's final, after the women's final, in fact, 3 games in total. And that's going to take place between Batley and Halifax. Now, that's got a bit of romance to it as well, because Batley have never played here at Wembley Stadium. Halifax, it'll be the first time they've played here in 35 years. So in more ways than one, well, history is going to be made here at Wembley Stadium tomorrow.
I think a lot of people are going to be glued to the telly. Not a lot of jobs getting done this weekend. Thanks a lot, Chris.
Well, there is a real feast of sport on Saturday afternoon. On top of the rugby there is just the small matter of the Women's World Cup quarter-final. England take on Colombia in Australia for a place in the last 4 of the competition. Rachel Daly from Harrogate has played a key role for the Lionesses this tournament in various positions and says she's been impressed with the standard of the women's game during the World Cup.
Talent level is so high from every team. You can't underestimate anyone in this tournament, and everyone's ready to go, and it's great for the women's game to see how many teams have come on leaps and bounds, and they're not just physical, they're tactically smart, they're technical, they're getting a lot better, and yes, it's a really, really tough tournament.
And you can watch the Lionesses take on Colombia in Sydney right here on ITV1 tomorrow morning. Coverage begins at 10:45.
Well, Kerry is with us now. Kerry, what's it going to be like weather-wise for the Lionesses? Can you tell us?
Well, today and tomorrow, I think we're going to actually be warmer. Of course, it's Australia's winter, but probably highs of 21, mostly dry with some sunny spells after a chilly start. So temperatures for Sydney in the single figures, but not for us. It was a mild one last night, wasn't it?
It was, as predicted.
Yeah, but most of those showers, there's just been a few cropping up over the North York Moors over the last hour or so, but most of them have stayed away today, and we've had some gorgeous shots like this one from Michiko Smith of Normanton. She was at the Cow and Calf in Ilkley Moor. Absolutely fantastic views there. I just want to sit on that seat and have a cup of tea and look at that view. We are expecting a few more showers as we head into the next couple of days or so maybe not quite as impressive as they were across the region today, but I've got something to show you because it's Friday. Check this out. It's a red-backed strike. Big thank you to Stephen Abbott for sharing. They became extinct in 1989 due to loss of prey, habitat, change in farming practices, etc. They returned, but only as a visitor from 2004. So I like to think that they've just stayed over, they've had a cup of tea, like what we would with a Costa or a Starbucks or something. And they've just had a little rest before they go to tropical Africa. So thanks for stopping by, Redback Strike. There's only about 200 that come in the season over the next 2 or 3 months or so. Absolutely beautiful.
Wearing your eyeshadow.
I know. Low pressure is in charge for the weekend, and we do have showers that could be heavy pushing in from the west by the second half of tomorrow. Sunday is probably the better day for any outside activities. There'll still be some showers. This on Monday, a little bit of a question mark, but could bring us further longer spells of rain as we head into the start of next week. But I do have good news. High pressure starts to develop as we head through next week. So things are looking more promising, drier and brighter, and maybe warmer and quite humid. Hopefully this area of low pressure will stay away, and for the bulk of next week from late Tuesday onwards it will look settled, but it's a mixed as we head into the weekend, sunshine and showers.
Thank you very much, Kerry.
Looking good for your week off, Tina.
It's holidaying at home.
Plenty of eyes will be on the weather in Whitby this weekend as well, of course, where thousands of people will be heading for the annual regatta.
Now that makes it sound like it's all about boats, and of course there will be some hard-fought races, and here's a fact for you. It is one of only a few sea regattas, if that gives you a clue as to why it needs to be as calm as it can.
Well, our reporter Katie Oscroft clearly got the best job today, so good evening to you, Katie. Is it getting busy there?
It is, Ian, and yes, I did get the best job and the best view, and The best weather. Now spare a thought for those events washed out in recent weeks by that unsummer-like rain, but let's celebrate the fact that it's so far so very good for the Whitby Regatta. Now thousands will come here, and let's remind ourselves why. What an incredible view of this part of our Yorkshire coastline. No wonder that so many people want to come here and to enjoy it, and so much, much more. As fast as they fry them, the queues get longer. But the views make up for it, even though the fish have long not been caught in the waters below. The regatta will also celebrate that connection with the sea.
What Whitby's about, rowing races, yacht races, things like that. So yeah, it's all to do about the sea and where we are on the coast. With the influx of more people coming into the town and coming maybe to Whitby for the first time, it's just showcasing us all off just to say that we are here and come back again some other time.
The regatta started around 180 years ago. It's only missed during world wars and the pandemic. The regatta's always been about so much more than just what happened on the water, hasn't it?
Oh, very much so. It's the fair, the events, the whole feeling of the place. You just want to come back for the excitement. The place is crowded with people wanting to enjoy themselves for the day.
Dennis grew up here and remembers each year like it was yesterday.
The sounds, the smells, the excitement. It was the whole feel that the world seems to be enjoying themselves on that day.
So this is your dad?
It's Mr. John Tyndale, my wonderful father.
David's father was a photographer. He had a unique view of everything, didn't he, including the regatta?
Absolutely. He was a news journalist and photographer, really, back when taking photographs was a difficult thing and not many people did it.
How do people who live here feel about the regatta?
They think it's better than Christmas.
All eyes will be on the boats as they re-enter the harbour this weekend. The pier and the banks will be lined with thousands of people. The noise will be deafening. But what happens on the water is just a small part of what brings people here. The original Whitby Jet Shop has been marking regattas for almost as long as the event itself.
Whitby is unique for so many reasons, and it's why it brings people to the town. You know, a few years ago, Whitby used to be busy from about April to September, and then more or less over the winter it would close down. Now, people come all year round.
And all those visitors need somewhere to stay. There are very few beds left in the town for this weekend.
That's one of the legacies of COVID, is that people appreciated a staycation, and we've certainly done research now and seeing that staycations are more popular than ever. What we'll see through the next weekend and through the week is people coming into the office and rebooking for next year.
So this event is like Christmas in more ways than one, serving up a boost to this town's all-year-round tourism economy on a plate. Well, I'm joined by three people who've got quite a bit to worry about this weekend. Kerry and Ali are organising the regatta swim, but Jane, first of all, president of the Whitby Regatta, the boss. That's a big job.
It is a big job, but I'm supported by a wonderful committee of volunteers, and we've been doing it for quite a bit.
Now, in my report, someone said it's better than Christmas. Another person said it feels like the whole world's enjoying themselves. Good reviews. Did you pay them, Jane?
No, I didn't pay them, but they're very welcome to our community party.
And it's a bit more than boats, isn't it?
It's a lot more. It's a carnival at sea, and it's a regatta fun on land.
Well, Kerry, next, you're organising a swim, rather you than me. It couldn't go ahead last year because of the weather. What conditions do you need for this swim to happen?
So we're hoping for calm seas, no sea threat this year, and if we could have some sunshine as well, that'd be nice.
Well, hope so. Now, Ali, you wouldn't catch me swimming in the North Sea at any price. Have you got many takers? There must be brave souls.
We've got 70 takers this year, and we'd like to keep on growing it year on year. With swimming having such a renaissance for open water swimming, it's just building and building.
And it hasn't happened since the 80s, has it?
No, it's 30 years since the last swim, but now we're just hoping to build it and make it make it an absolute great event to build on the regatta.
Well, the very best of luck with that. The best of luck to all three of you. I know you've got absolutely thousands of people coming to Whitby, which is a busy place anyway. We wish you blue skies and calm waters, and we just hope that it's a great event, but we know that whatever happens, there'll be a lot of people here anyway on dry land having a very good time.
Oh yeah, Katie, thank you very much. You can go and have your fish and chips now. Thank you.
It is such a special place, isn't it, Whitby? And I've been to the regatta a couple of times over the years. Yeah, it's a really fantastic experience. So if you do get a chance, go and take a look. And will it be blue skies? Let's Kerry tell us.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Thank you. Hello again. Definitely a chance of a few loads on the line during the course of today. Warm, bright, breezy, plenty of sunshine and staying mostly dry. Some fantastic shots from around the region. Please keep them coming over the weekend and into next week. Weather photos at itv.com. But as we head into the weekend, it is turning a little bit more unsettled. So we are expecting those temperatures to be hovering just around average, but the winds will pick up. It will feel fresher and there will be a mix, unfortunately, of sunshine and showery outbreaks. But this was the scene today. A lot of dry and bright weather, but out towards the west, weather fronts are waiting and they will work their way through as we head through into tomorrow. So as we head through into tonight, it stays mostly dry with clear spells and a bit of a breeze. So it's still a fairly mild night overnight tonight. Not quite as muggy as it was last night though, and a little bit of cloud edging in to the west over the Pennines and the Peaks by the time we reach dawn tomorrow. 5:39 and 8:43 are your Saturday sun times. Bright enough start, certainly in the east first thing in the morning. Then it will cloud up and there is a higher risk of catching a shower. They're likely to form in bands. They could be heavy, thundery. There could be some really intense downpours, but many places will escape them, but definitely a cloudier second half of the day. Temperatures a little near normal, 21 to 23 Celsius perhaps, and that shower risk does continue as we head into the evening time. As we head into the second half of the weekend on Sunday, hopefully a bit more in the way of sunshine, certainly a drier day with fewer showers, but then this little feature to the southwest, it could bring us a very wet second half of the day on Monday before things start to settle down Tuesday onwards.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
So at the moment, Sunday looks like the best day for the regatta, and that's of course for the Red Arrows, so cross fingers, it should be okay.
Excellent.
Right,
thank you very much,
fingers
Karen.
crossed for that. Well, that's it from Calendar for another week. We hope that you have a great weekend, whatever you're doing.
Perhaps you're off down to London to watch the Rugby League at Wembley. Well, this is what awaits you there, you lucky things.
Or maybe you'll be heading to the coast to take in some sea air and to enjoy the spectacle of Whitby Historic Regatta. From all of us, have a great weekend. Good night.
Good night.
Night.